Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Radha Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Everybody, one more time together. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Your holy name is glorious. Your holy name is victorious. Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. That means all glories to the chanting of the holy name. It means your holy name is glorious and victorious, and if you chant, you become glorious and victorious. If you carry heat, you become hot. If you carry light, you become light. If you carry the holy name, you become glorious and victorious, because the holy name is glorious and victorious. That's what it means. Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Can say it together. Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to the chanting of your holy name, which cleanses the heart like cooling rain. It will make the fire of samsara forever die, and will cause the lotus of good fortune to rise. First verse, Shishastana. Because your holy name is glorious, your holy name is victorious, your holy name is glorious, your holy name is victorious, your holy name is glorious, holy name is victorious, holy name is glorious, holy name is victorious, your holy name is glorious, your holy name is victorious, holy name is victorious, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. One more time. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Can do better than that. One more time. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Now what you're going to sing is all glories to the chanting of your names. 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 And do some harmonies. Glories to the chanting of your name. Glories to the chanting of your name. A little louder. All glories to the chanting of your name. All glories to the chanting of your name. One more time. Glories to the chanting of your name. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Together, one more time. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Time for Sanskrit. You know the Sanskrit? Chetadapanamatam. Sing if you know it. Baba Madhavagni Nirvapanam. Shreya Karyavya Chandikavitaranam. Yajavadu Jivanam. Anandam Bhurivardhanam. Ratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. Sarvatma Snapanam. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Everyone, 2, 3, 4. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. A little louder. Param Your holy name is Victoria. Hallelujah. Your holy name is Your holy name is glorious. Holy name is everyone. Param Jayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Param Jayate, Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. One more time, last time. Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Sri Krishna Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Sa Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschati Desatani. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda Govinda. So we were singing, I didn't sing all the words from the first verse, but we were singing the part of the first verse of Sri Shishastakam, which has been spoken by Lord Chaitanya, glorifying the power of chanting Hare Krishna. So we sang, all glories to the chanting of your holy name, which can cleanse the heart, cleanses the mirror of the heart. Glories to the chanting of your holy name, which cleanses the heart like cooling rain. It will make the fire of samsara die, samsara's birth and death. And will cause the lotus of good fortune to arise. The holy name brings good fortune. And then further verses are, it fulfills all our desires, it cleanses, it's like bathing for the soul. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavakniramatam Shrekara Vichani Vidya Vadu. It's the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge. Vidya Vadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It's the ocean of bliss. Pratit Padam Purnamrita Svadanam. Lets us taste nectar at every step. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. So this last line we were singing, Param Vijayate. Jai means glorious, Vijay means especially glorious or victorious. And so the holy name has so much benefit. It's said that it's victorious because to love Krishna, to get out of the cycle of birth and death is almost impossible. But the holy name is so powerful that we can be victorious over the cycle of birth and death and victorious against all the passions that pull us away from Krishna and all the obstacles and all these things we can conquer it, not because we're strong, but because the holy name is strong and because we carry it. Like if you carry an atom bomb, it doesn't mean you're strong, but if you drop it, it does damage. So the holy name is more powerful than any obstacle we face. It's like light. So it doesn't matter how much darkness there is, light, where there's light, right? No, I have a flashlight. Well, my room's so dark it won't work. Of course not. So the holy name is so powerful that it'll work on anybody who takes it, who sings it every day, or chants it on beads every day, with devotion and love. It's so powerful. We were just in Italy and we did a retreat, and we did lots of kirtan. And there were many people there that have only been to 1 or 2 kirtans in their life. And we did lots of chanting japa. People who had never chanted before were chanting for 2 hours a day on on beads. And it was amazing transformations they were having. So I was getting to watch it happening over 5 days, seeing the transformation that people were going through by chanting. Because you know, if you look at the holy name externally, then it's like you can't really tell that it's anything other than just some sound. But if you observe people who are chanting it, then you see what happens. And the happiness they experience, the purification they experience. And so if you look at the Hare Krishna movement, everything you're seeing in the movement that's happening, in which people are advancing in spiritual life, it's because of chanting. And Krishna's actually there in his name. And someday we will realize that fully. There was a devotee, Lord Chaitanya had a devotee. His name was Thakur Haridas. He was chanting 22 hours a day. And so you think, like, he's sitting down 22 hours a day. Wouldn't you get tired? Wouldn't you get bored, hungry, thirsty? Would you go crazy if you had to sit down for 22 hours? Yeah, you go crazy having to sit down for a half hour. Right. Chant Hare Krishna for a half hour without going crazy. Right? For most people. I teach people to chant, and you know, most of them can do like 20 minutes before they get fidgety. I mean, if they're really into it, but like 20, 30 minutes. They're not used to sitting down and focusing. Could you imagine liking something so much that you could do it 22 hours a day, and the only reason you stop is because you have to rest and take a bath? Otherwise you'd keep doing it. Well, if Krishna is present in his name, if God is present in his name, could you spend the whole day with him? Could you spend the whole day with Krishna? Yes? Of course. And when you go back to the spiritual world, you will. So you better want to do it here, because if you go back there, you're not going to be happy. I have to spend the whole day with you, oh my God. That was just a joke. But he's experiencing Krishna in his name, and so he can sit and chant all day. And Krishna is the source of all bliss. So when you're with Krishna, it's all bliss. So Thakur Haridas is chanting, and every mantra he chants is better than the last one. Wow. You can say wow. Wow. Turn to the person next to you and tell them, that's amazing. That's amazing. Tell the person next to you, that's amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Anyone have experience of something that gets better the more you do it? You know, like you ever eat something and it's so good, you're just like, you're gobbling it up, you know. You're starving, it's the best thing you've ever eaten. And then after like 10 minutes, you're like, oh no, I'm getting full. I wish I wasn't full, because this is so good, I just could eat like all day. You ever have that experience? Like, you're getting full, but so when you're full, you don't want to eat, but it's so good, you want to eat, but you're full. If you keep eating, you'll get sick. Could you imagine getting more of an appetite the more you eat, and it's tasting better with every bite? No, you can't imagine, but that's what a devotee experiences when they're purified. So I was telling the devotees today something I was thinking about, that when someone progresses in spiritual life, they get so much pleasure from chanting about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, serving Krishna, but especially from chanting, that the reward of all your practice, your sadhana, your service, everything you're doing for your purification, the real reward is the experience you get when you chant. Because the more purified you are, the better the experience. That's your reward. And that experience you get when you're chanting You can't get that experience from anything material. It's impossible. It doesn't exist in anything material. You can get wonderful material things and you can experience pleasure and happiness, but it's the pleasure and happiness you experience from associating with Krishna when you're relishing and chanting His name. It has nothing to do with anything you could experience in this world, even if you lived here for 1 billion years and had all the wealth in the world. You still couldn't experience that. And so that's the gift, that's the beauty. And that's why the holy name is so glorious, because it can give you what you can't get anywhere. Can't find it in any store, or any website, or any YouTube podcast. You can't get it anywhere. And so this verse says, and it's what we're looking for. And every Purnamrita Swadanam, it's the nectar. It's the nectar that we're looking for in all the endeavors of our life that we never find. What we are looking for through everything we have done and will do that we will never really finally get because we'll always keep looking, that's in the holy name. That's just sit down and chant and go inside. That's there. That's where you'll find it. That's beautiful, isn't it? Like we say, pilgrim, your search is over. You get the holy name. You just take you've arrived, you go within and experience that. But you have to pay a little price to experience it. It's following a lifestyle that's pure. And making an effort to chant with devotion. That's necessary. But if you do that, you'll get it. And here's the problem. If you don't do it, this is very interesting. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I sang the song, so I have to explain it. This is something that's a huge problem and a huge concern, and it concerns me a lot because I see this problem everywhere. Lord Chaitanya says that, my dear Lord Krishna, you have invested all your Shakti, all your power in your name, which means, as we said, means you're in your name. You are present. There's no difference between you walking down the street with Krishna walking by you and you walking down the street chanting japa. Theoretically, there's no difference, but I'm going to explain how there's a difference. And there shouldn't be, but there is sometimes. Because all the acharyas, the great spiritual masters who've taught about chanting, said there's a way to chant. And if you don't chant properly, that sound you're making is not even Krishna. He's not even there. Have you ever chanted and felt like Krishna wasn't there? Raise your hand. Yeah, if you didn't raise your hand, you're not chanting. Everyone who's chanted has that experience. You're just, okay, let me ask maybe another way. Have you ever chanted and just chanted? I'm just chanting. Just chanting means I'm just doing the motions. Raise your hand if you've done the motions. So when you do the motions, what's your experience? Pretty much nothing. You could chant anything, you'd have the same experience, I think. Don't you? Practically. Coca-Cola, 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 Cola, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's very similar. So the acharyas say that if you don't chant properly, if there's no devotion, if you chant mechanically, then it's a sound. Krishna's not present, and that's why we don't feel anything. And if this process, this chanting is so powerful, it can do amazing things to your consciousness, to your life, that nothing else can do. So what a loss it is, what a travesty, if I chant and I'm not actually chanting. I'm just blah, 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 blah. And I'm chanting like a robot, and it's not happening. What could be worse than that? Like, you have money, you don't know how to spend it. It's like whatever, you don't know how to you don't know what to do with it. Put it under your mattress or something. So that's a huge loss. So you know what happens if you do that long enough? Who could imagine what happens if you do that long enough? If you do something in which you have no positive experience long enough, what happens?
Stop and burn out.
You either stop, you either reduce, or you continue doing it and it just becomes burdensome. I'm so-called associating with God, and I feel it's a burden. That's not good, is it? And then I say, You know, in the spiritual world, they chant Hare Krishna all the time. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to go. I can't stand it. You know. I mean, that wouldn't happen. But something like that could be there. You know, I don't like to chant, and that for you, you're going to Krishna Loka where Krishna lives to chant Hare Krishna all day. Oh, I thought that was hell. I have to chant all day. Just 2 hours is like, you know, drives me crazy. If you don't chant properly, that will be your experience. But it's not that you're associating with Krishna. You're associating with a sound that sounds like Krishna. It's a shadow of the real thing. That's what the acharyas say. So, I just ate prasadam. Why am I not full? Well, Prabhu, you ate the shadow on the wall. That's why. Good weight reduction program, but you're not going to get full, and you're not going to taste anything. So if you're chanting a shadow of the name, it's such a loss. We don't want to do that. And then we don't want to develop an aversion for chanting because we're chanting a shadow and we're not experiencing the real effects of it. So it's very important. And then, another thing is, when you're trying to advance spiritually, there's certain things you have to give up. And the only way you can consistently give them up is if you have positive spiritual experiences. And if you don't have positive spiritual experiences from chanting, how are you going to give these things up? Because the only way you can give up something that you need to give up that's not good for you is you have to have something better going on. And if you don't have something better, you're never going to be able to do it. So then you struggle in your spiritual life. So the chanting is the solution because it makes it very easy. If you chant well, naturally giving up what is not good for your spiritual life is just, you don't even think about it, you just do it. Right? And if you say, well, Prabhu, that sounds good, but that's not me. Well, maybe you're not chanting well, that's why. It's not you. But if you chant well, it will be you. It just is. That's the way it is. Can I make a guarantee? Money back guarantee? Double your money guarantee? If you chant every day, and you try to chant with the love and devotion, you just don't chant like a robot or a machine with no feeling, just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Don't chant like that. Chant with devotion. Try to hear, try to be present, don't do anything else. If you do that every day, here's my guarantee, you will not have spiritual problems. It's not possible. You can't have them. You can have other problems. You may still not have a job. You may still have a sore knee, or it's not going to heal all your traumas. But your spiritual problems, you won't have them. If you chant well, you cannot have spiritual problems. It's not possible. That's my guarantee. I'll put it another way. My guarantee is, double your money back guarantee is, if you chant well every day, you won't even see Maya. You'll totally forget Maya. He was like, Maya? I haven't seen her in years. Who's Maya? I forgot. It sounds familiar. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be, right? That's what will happen. Because where Krishna is, it's all light. There's no darkness, and Maya is darkness, illusion is darkness, and that will go away. That's a pretty big offer, isn't it? You want to take me up on it and see? Try it out this week. If you take it properly, it is so powerful. The holy name is glorious, the holy name is victorious. It's so powerful. He can purify anyone. I just read a story on the plane yesterday. So nice. One of Lord Chaitanya's eternal associates, his name is Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami was feeling like, I was born in a low family, and there's so many. I'm so unqualified to be a devotee. And then he got a disease, so he had sores on his body that had like pus or something. And he said, I can't even go in the temple, and he was in Jagannath Puri. I can't go in the temple, because if I go in the temple, some of the pujaris, the priests, may touch me, and if they touch me, it's considered a contamination. You can't go on the altar. if you touch anything from inside your body. So after you evacuate, you have to bathe. Or even if you touch your nose, wash your hands. If there's blood, if a woman's menstruating, she can't go on the altar. So he said, I can't go to the temple. And, it's like, so he went to Jagannath Puri where they have the Rath Yatra festival, and he thought, I'm like so disqualified for devotional service. Now I have these sores in my body, I'm just going to pollute people, so I should just jump in front of the chariot and kill myself. That was it, and that was his plan. That's what he wanted to do. Lord Chaitanya knew everything, so he one day went to Sanatana and he said, you're not going to be liberated by killing yourself. And he said, and Sanatana said, but I'm so fallen, I'm so low, this and that. And Lord Chaitanya said, it doesn't matter. It's not that someone who's born in a very elevated Brahminical priestly family has any better qualification than you do. It's your love and devotion. It doesn't matter. So Lord Chaitanya set a precedent that chanting Hare Krishna is so powerful. It doesn't matter what you've done. We have this prayer, Om Apavitra Pavitra Va Sarvavashram Kutopiva. We chant it before initiation. And it means apavitra, if you're not pure or you're pure. Om Apavitra Va Sarvavashram, wherever you've done. Maybe you've been to hell, maybe you've been to jail, maybe you've been to Brahmaloka. Who knows what you've done? Whatever you've done, it doesn't matter. Because if you remember Krishna, you'll get purified inside and outside. So, don't ever think that the spiritual obstacles you have cannot be overcome. They can be by pure chanting, that's for sure, 100%. But a lot of times we don't believe it because we don't chant purely, so we don't have that experience. So we think, I'm so fallen, I'll never be purified. Yeah, if you don't chant well, maybe you won't. But if you do, you won't say that because you'll experience something better. So, I like to contextualize it a little more. This is the age of Kali. Have you noticed? It's the age of Kali. You noticed Kali's moving fast forward. Yeah, Kali is arriving ahead of schedule. It's true. You look in Bhagavatam, things that were supposed to happen thousands of years from now. They're happening yesterday. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, in Kali Yuga, people are not spiritually strong. They're not even materially strong or intelligent. Kali Yuga is not the age, technically speaking, although this is not true, but technically speaking, at least by qualification, it's not the age for making spiritual advancement. And so Lord Chaitanya has considered everything, and he said, okay, there's so many things that people in Kali Yuga should do for spiritual advancement, but they can't. They're not smart enough, they're not strong enough, they don't live long enough, they don't have the spiritual strength to do it. So Lord Chaitanya says, okay, we'll just give them one thing, and if they do this one thing, that's all they have to do. And you know what that one thing is. Harinam, Harinam. Harinam eva kevalam. Take the chanting of Hare Krishna. If you just, for all this other stuff, you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't matter where you've come from, what family you're in, what you've done. It doesn't matter. I will give you one thing. And if you take this one thing properly, pretty much you don't have to do anything else. Not that we don't do other things, but there's so many things that Vedic scripture recommends. You don't have to do them. You can't even do them anyway. You just do this one thing. And that one thing we don't do, or we do it and we don't do it right. That's a big loss, don't you think? Because that's the one thing. Here's the one key to get you out of prison. Oh, really? It's too much trouble to put in the lock. I'll just stay in prison. I've never used a key like this. I don't know. How do you do it? It's like that. So, I just want to emphasize that the chanting of Hare Krishna is so powerful. It can give us love of Krishna. It can reveal who you are in your eternal Leela with Krishna. It can reveal that someday if you chant. It can be revealed, you are a coward boy, you are a gopi, you are this or that. Just by chanting, you can learn that. And it can reveal so many things that you could never understand by reading a book. And it can give you an attraction for Krishna, an inspiration. It can give you so many things. Don't misuse it. That's the greatest loss. Just chanting your rounds to get them done, you won't get those things. It's not the way to do it. So that's my message. Unplanned, unsolicited. But it's super important, because if we don't, then we're missing this huge opportunity. Right? Does that make sense? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Yeah, all right. You know, why waste your time? You know, chant, sing. You know, if we're going to take chanting not properly, we're basically wasting time. I mean, of course, we do it because most of us, or many of us, made a vow to do it, so we do it. That's why we do it. But that's not exactly why to do it. You do it because you want to love Krishna. And you take the vow because you want to love Krishna, and you want to... I mean, this is really interesting. Why do you take a vow? You take a vow because you want to do something, and you know sometimes you're not going to want to do it. So you take a vow. Now I have to do it, I promised. That's why you take a vow. You don't take a vow to chant 16 bad rounds just so you can get a spiritual name. I want to get initiated so I get a name and, you know, be in with the in crowd. That's not why you do it. So I got my name, and, you know, sometimes I chant 16, 4, 8, 10, you know, whatever. No. Ultimately you chant because you want to love Krishna. And you take a vow because you know, Prabhupada said, you will get love of Krishna if you chant 16, so you want to take a vow to commit to you're taking a vow. Like, sometimes I have disciples, they say, I broke my vow. They say, I broke my vow to you. I say, they say, I broke my vow to you. I said, no, you didn't. You broke your vow to yourself. Because you're really taking that vow more for yourself than you are for me. Because if you break your vow, I'm still here. So, you know, I wish you were also, but I'm still here. So it hurts you much more than it hurts me. So that's why you take a vow. You're taking it for yourself. So if you think, oh, I have to chant 16. You're the one who took the vow. That's because you wanted to do 16. But now you're doing it and you don't want to. That's not good. Then you're just chanting. It's not. Well, at least I'm following my vow. Good. Then you'll come back in the next life and try again. Because you won't get love of Krishna if you don't chant properly. All you'll get is, you'll get some, you know, well, you'll get a guru in your next life, you can do it again. You followed your guru, you followed your vow. But I'm going to make you feel bad now. You chant 16 bad rounds, you did not follow your vow. Because you did not vow to chant 16 bad rounds. You did not vow to chant 16 rounds of offenses. You vowed to chant properly. Otherwise, why during the initiation do we have the 10 offenses? If you just like, oh, just chant, make the offenses. No, that's why you have to recite the 10 offenses, because you're getting the holy name. So these are all important things. I just had to say this because I think about this all the time, because I see all the problems devotees have. And it's like, I don't feel like chanting, I don't want to chant. Hello, this is the Yuga Dharma, this is the process. It's like, you can do a lot of other things that have minimal potency, you know. You know, you have some serious disease. Well, I'm taking this tea, and I'm taking this herb, and I'm walking in the forest. Okay, it's all good, but that's not going to cure it. It's, you know, you need something strong. So this is the thing that's strong. Now, here's another thing. You want to hear more, or are you ready to kill me, or what? Am I depressing everybody? Yeah. When we take initiation, Elena's here. This is the initiation lecture for her, pre-initiation lecture. When you take initiation, you vow to follow 4 principles. No meat eating, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. Why? Why is that necessary? Because for the chanting of Hare Krishna to be effective, you have to have a minimal level of purity in your life. Otherwise you chant, but you're like taking a bath and then throwing dirt on yourself. So at initiation, you vow to follow these 4 things. So many things you do in your life are purifying you so that your chanting can be pure. And if you have, it's hard to chant pure if you don't live pure, obviously, right? So many of the things we do in our movement to purify ourselves all help your chanting become pure. And when your chanting becomes pure, everything happens. Then you get love of Krishna. So, you think, I'll chant to become pure. Yes, that's true. But you have to be pure in your lifestyle so you can chant purely. They go together. That's why we take those vows. Otherwise, why take the vows? Just, here's your beads, chant. Whatever you want. Pick a number and, follow whatever principles you want. Okay, but if you do that, it's going to take lifetimes. And Prabhupada said you could be Krishna conscious in one lifetime. So he said, chant 16 and follow 4 principles. For those who want to do that, I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but for those who want to do it, that's what Prabhupada said. If you did that, you could become Krishna conscious in one life. So, okay, it's not that expensive. I think we're going to do a t-shirt, 16 rounds and 4 principles, the best deal in town. And you get 16 rounds, 4 principles, go back to Godhead, best deal in town. Well, that's a good price, right? Of course, the Christians have a better deal. Just say, Jesus, I accept you. Okay, you're in line. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's part of the process. I accept you. But you have to do something. So, Lord Chaitanya came. This is interesting. Lord Chaitanya came and said, okay, don't have to worry about much. Just chant Hare Krishna, and you'll come back to me. What does that mean? That means he wants us to come back to him. And it means he's making it easy, but we think it's difficult, because it's Kali Yuga. And everything spiritual in Kali Yuga is difficult. Therefore you have religions like Christianity, everybody flocks to them, or Islamic religions. That doesn't require a lot of sacrifice, right? Go to church, don't go to church. Well, if you're a Muslim, then you have to call to prayer, but it doesn't demand so much of you most of the time. And Lord Chaitanya is also not demanding much, but he's demanding something. But we tend to think it's a lot or it's difficult. Prabhupada was amazing, because Prabhupada always said, you think these things are difficult, but they're not. You just make this thing up in your head that it's difficult. It's really not. Okay, we have all heard in Satya Yuga, to become self-realized, you would have to meditate for 100,000 years. Now that's difficult. As we're talking, you can't even sit for half an hour, or an hour, most of us, unless we're watching a movie, or on our phone or something. Or maybe we can sit and read a book, but just to meditate. And then each age had a process. And none of those processes we can do. We don't have the power. So, Lord Chaitanya, he's made it easy. And Prabhupada would always say, why you say it's difficult? It's not. It's easy when you compare it to what was required in other ages. You have to live in the mountains, eat berries off trees, and meditate for 100,000 years. Yeah, now that's a challenge. So I think it's really helpful not to think that it's difficult, because if you think something's difficult, it's difficult. And if you think something's not difficult, it's not. I have experience, I've been a devotee quite a while. And I have experience, and I'm sure we all have this experience, sometimes trying to get 16 rounds done feels like climbing Mount Everest. I'm never going to get to the top, Still have rounds, 11 o'clock at night, blah, blah, blah. It's difficult. You ever have that experience? It's like hard, right? And do you ever have experience, you're chanting, you 16 are done, it's like, wow, where'd they go? Let's do another 16, just... So, Prabhupada, he was always kind of enforcing this idea. It's not difficult. What's your problem, basically? Why do you think it's difficult? He would say, what's the difficulty? Difficulty's up here. But he always wanted to show us it's not really difficult compared to what you're getting, compared to processes in other ages. And I think it's really important to be in that frame of reference that it's not difficult. Because if you think it's difficult. So hard to get up early in the morning. Really? It's that hard? I mean, there are harder things to do than that. So hard to chant my rounds. Not hard. If you think it's hard, it's hard. Maybe tomorrow when you chant, just tell yourself, this is easy. See what happens. This is easy. 16 rounds is nothing, so many people in India are chanting 64. I only have to do, for initiate, we're initiate. I'm talking 16 for initiates. So many people in India vowed to chant 64. That's at least 8 hours. 7 or 8, 9. We only have to do 16. That's only a quarter. That's easy. This is easy. Piece of cake, only 16. This is like Special Olympics, Vaishnavism. This is easy for people in Kali Yuga. It's not difficult. You think like that, it just makes it easier. And it's true, it is Special Olympics. We're like mercy cases. We were telling the story yesterday, I think yesterday. I had a godbrother. I get mixed up with places. I told this in Italy. We had a godbrother. He was so spaced out from taking LSD, it took him all day to chant 16 rounds, like 8, 10 hours. We couldn't give him any service because if he gave him any service, he wouldn't finish his rounds. Serious story. I was there, I saw it, I knew him. His name was Devarshi. Devarshi's from San Francisco. He probably joined in maybe 1968, 1969. If you don't know what was going on in San Francisco in the late 60s, just Google it and you'll understand why Devarshi was so spaced out. Because, they were, basically eating LSD for breakfast. So, and LSD can really space you out, for sure. Some people take it, but they don't actually properly come down. They just kind of remain in suspended for, a few months or a few weeks like that. So he was like that. And, what do you do? So, someone's living in your temple, they're eating your food, they're taking up space, using your water, taking up water to wash their clothes, You know what I'm saying? It costs money. So everyone in the temple does service. If nobody does service, how can you afford to maintain anybody? So they asked Prabhupada, and they said, he can't do service because it takes him all day to chant. What should we do? And Prabhupada said, just let him chant. Because Prabhupada had so much faith that if he just chanted, he would get purified. And he chanted and he did. And then he normalized. And he was not the only one that was like that. It was quite common in those days. So, Prabhupada had so much faith in the power of the holy name that he could start a whole movement with 20-year-olds fresh off the street and a year later train them, and a year later send them around the world to start Hare Krishna temples in cities all over just by chanting Hare Krishna. That was the main thing they did. And Prabhupada had so much faith in that they would become pure and they would become exemplary if they chanted properly, that he could send them around the world. And he did, and it worked. Just by chanting. How the movement started? Prabhupada went to Thompson Square Park. There's a tree there if you ever go to New York. It says the Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta started his movement under this tree. I have a disciple, she said, I used to go to that park before I was a devotee and I'd sit under that tree. Every day I'd go there and just sit under that tree. Well, yeah. It's a special tree. And that's what Prabhupada did. He just went and chanted. And everything happened from chanting. Right? You've seen the video?
No, maybe you can explain, because there are a lot of newcomers here for the first time.
Yeah. The best way to explain is Go home and chant Hare Krishna. And you'll understand everything. That's the best. You know, sometimes I don't like to talk about the effects of chanting Hare Krishna because that's like talking about how somebody's pizza tastes, which is like the best pizza that was ever made. But, you know, until you eat it, it's like, okay, best pizza. Hare Krishna mantra, it's names of God. And it was given by Lord Chaitanya, who's the incarnation of God, as the means for purifying in this age. So you should, Gita Govinda will show it to you if you don't know it. And here's the thing. I will make a challenge. Chant 10 minutes a day for a week. It will change you. It will do permanent damage to your material life.
Maybe we can do one together, one time.
One mantra? One round?
Yeah, together.
Oh, you want to do one round together? Good. I got a lot of rounds left. We could do more than one. Yeah. Well, let's do some questions first, then we can do it together. Yes, Partha Sharati.
So you were talking about the relationship between the sadhaka and the holy name.
Yeah.
In the Bhajan Rahasya of Bhakti Thakur, it describes about how the whole process is present in the Mahamantra, meaning that you go from Nishta all the way to you should be at praying by the time you finish that one mantra. That's what, I mean, Bhakti Thakur says.
Yeah. Well, there's...
So
Yeah.
the question is it a lack of internalizing the process, or is it a lack of just taste, which Jaiva Dharma says, the more you chant, the more taste you get. So,
well, you know, in the Jaiva Dharma, there's a story. But these devotees, they get the holy name and then they go chant 64 rounds a day. And like 1 week later, they have bhava. It's like, okay. And so, Bhanu Swami was talking about this, and he said, well, that's pretty normal. And like you go from nothing to bhava in like a week. You do 64 rounds. But they're living, you know, they're coming from a very pure lifestyle. And they're living in a very pure environment. And they're not doing anything else. And they're chanting properly. So my understanding is it's due to offenses that it takes so long. And it's like maybe you have to chant for 40 years to stop making offenses. But once you stop, then and I was told that Prabhupada was asked, how long did it take you to perfect your chanting? He said 40 years. So keep chanting. But sometimes it's like that. It's like you get glimpses of purity, but you have to chant a lot to get to that point where you stop making offenses. And that's when everything takes off. Because in theory, that bhav and prema will come when there's no offenses. So that's my understanding. And it's meant to come faster, but we're like, look at us. You know, we're mercy cases. But I've been chanting for 55 years, and it's a lot different now than it was when I started. So through even though I said, you know, bad japas doesn't do much, it does in the sense that it frustrates you. So at some point you're like, I'm sick of this bad japa. I'm sick of like not making spiritual progress. I want to chant better. And you could become more serious about it. And then you see your spiritual advancement goes very, very rapidly. But I think it's really an inspiration to know that at least in the pure environment, people would go from 0 to bhava pretty quickly. And the fact that we're not, it's really due to offenses, you know. It's a broad offenses, you know. There's 10, but there's a broad category of offenses in the sense that just not to honor the holy name, not to appreciate it, to chant it mechanically, to chant poorly and not care, like all of this, you know. It's really. I mean, think about a relationship, and if you're married to someone and you treated that person the way you treated the holy name, how would that relationship be? You know, many of us would be divorced now. Our partner would say, "You ignore me all the time. You know, you talk to me with your back to me." You know, isn't it? It would be like, you know. I mean, it's interesting to look at that. You know, you're talking to me and you're not thinking about me. You're distracted. You're all over the place. Some people say, how could we turn our backs on Krishna? I don't understand. I go, come on, you do that while you're chanting. If you could do it, if you could do it while you're chanting, you could do it while you're not chanting, no problem, right? So it's pretty bad when you think about it. And another thing is like, this is how I think. Another thing is, why did Krishna give the holy name? Because he wants us. He wants us to go back to him. He misses us. He has, he wants that relationship to be revived. And to take the chanting, to minimize the chanting when it's so important to Krishna for us to qualify ourselves to go back to him, that's pretty offensive, isn't it? Like he's throwing the line out to you. Come on. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to hold on to it. Don't reel it too fast. That's not good. So, not just the 10 offenses, but there's so much stuff around that. At least that's my understanding. What do you have to say? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a totality of a lot of things. I think it's one, in the material world we have unhealthy relationships in general, so therefore that carries over, like you were saying.
Yeah, it does.
It carries over into devotional seva, it carries over into relationship.
Yeah.
And also it's the, I feel like it's often, as sadhakas, myself, it's not appreciating.
Yeah,
what
definitely.
Prabhupada is given.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, Prabhupada said, like, the material world is impossible, So,
Yeah.
So I think for myself, I agree 100%. And you have the glimpses where you can taste ruchi, you can taste bhav, you can taste all these things, just like the curtain opens for a second,
Yes.
and then Thakurji slams it shut again, so you
Yeah.
can get that hankering
Yes.
of taste.
Yeah. That's mercy. You want to chant around together? Here's the Maha Mantra.
Yeah.
Can we place it somewhere? Raise your hand if you don't know the Maha Mantra. If you've never chanted before. Everyone's
When
chanted.
you visit the temple.
Everyone's chanted before. Okay.
Maybe
So-
we can with Rupa and
With the Japamala or?
or whatever you like, but once the mantra. I think Rupa, you never chanted the mantra, the Maha Mantra. Rupa, yes, and Rupa not, and Priya also not. So I thought that maybe we can give them.
Let's chant one round together. You have beads?
Yeah,
You have beads you can give them?
yeah.
Those.
It doesn't have to be necessarily one round, one whole. Just one time the Maha Mantra.
Hare Krishna. All right. Okay, everyone chant together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. If you chant once purely, that's all you have to do. But it may take you your whole life till you get to the pure, to be able to chant purely. It's said in the scripture, one pure chanting is all you need to get love of Krishna. And then why? And Prabhupada said chant 16 because you have to do 16 every day. So someday you get to the one pure. And then, anyway, let's do kirtan,
Yes.
and then we'll try for
alright,
pure chanting.
If you don't mind, there's a song, there's a kirtan you did last time here.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, you did a lot of kirtans, but this one is so, it drives me crazy, and maybe it drives everybody crazy, so, I thought, you remember this one? Like,
Yeah, to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Believe. And you sing this one for me. That's your weekend.
Hare. Okay. No.
Okay, with you, yoga? Yeah?
Let's do. We have to put this table.
Yoga Maya.
Oh my God. No.
Bhakti Yoga Day.
It's bad.
You can love me. You can break me. Gita Govinda, that's part of a song. That's we have to sing the song first. Did I sing the song in English
Yeah.
that goes with that kirtan?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so this is Shishastakam night. So, in the last verse of Shishastakam, the Shishastakam are prayers by Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya gave the Maha Mantra. And this is a prayer by Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani loves Krishna more than anybody. Nobody loves her. And everyone talks about unconditional love. Well, she's the source of unconditional love. So she says, you can love me, you can love me, you can break me, you can leave me or embrace me. You can do anything you want, but you'll always be the Lord of my heart. That's unconditional love. I just read something that is a shocker. All the unmarried women, when they hear this, they're never going to get married. Should I say it? They said that when a man becomes chronically ill, in 2% of the cases, his caretaker, his wife, will leave him because it's such a burden. But when the woman is ill, 20% of the men will leave her. Did you know that? That's scary. 20%. Like, she's like, you're gonna have to spend the rest of your life taking care of your wife. If it's a man taking care of a woman, 20% of the time they will leave. If it's a woman taking care of a man, only 2%. So you talk about unconditional love. Yeah. And so, Prabhupada said that this kind of love does not exist in the material world. So Radharani is saying, you can love me, you can leave me, you can love me, you can leave, you can love me, you can leave me, you can love me, you can break me, you can leave me or embrace me. Yeah, you'll always be the Lord of my heart. So we're singing it, just to let it enter our heart. See what happens. B minor, C, D, B minor, C, D, E minor. You can love me, you can break me. Is that right? You can leave me or embrace me. You can do anything that you want, but you'll always be the Lord of my heart. This is your part. You will always be. You will always be the Lord of my heart. You will always be, always be. You will always be the Lord of my heart. You can love me, you can break me, you can leave me or embrace me. You can do anything that you want, but you'll always be the Lord of my heart. You will always be, everyone, always be. You will always be the Lord of my heart. You will always be. Always be, you will always be the Lord of my heart. Hare Krishna, One more time together, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srimati Radharani ki jai, Shashastakam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai.
Oh, amazing, inspiring, ecstatic Mahatma Prabhu ki jai. Hear anything, the neighbors may hear it as well. Again, jai!
Hare Krishna.
Tomorrow I move from here. Okay, thank you so much, Das Prabhu. It's such a pleasure and such a great honor to have you here. You know, I became a devotee also because of your books. You know, in Mayapur, I met you for the first time in Mayapur.